Welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series from the GSL Code S, a Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Dragon Scales. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Protoss probes, we have herO, and his opponent in the opposite corner with blue Zerg pieces. He goes by the name of RagnaroK. RagnaroK. Aren't you supposed to put like little O's on the dot? Or is that only in God of War? Anyways, I don't even actually know if it's in God of War now that I'm saying that out loud. Regardless, herO going for a Gateway Probe Scout. Now that is a little bit interesting. Generally speaking, in this particular matchup, you do see Protoss players starting the game off pretty much right from the start with a Probe Scout. Now this is a fake. Okay, so no, he's still playing some mind games here. I kind of like it. He's pretending like he's going for a cannon rush. Since this is the GSL Code S, RagnaroK has to respect it, but he gotta, yeah, I was gonna say, I haven't seen herO really do a whole lot of cannon rushes. He's gotta respect it here, but he's gotta think as well, okay, this is likely not going to happen at this level of play. That would be insane. Anyways, generally speaking, we used to, at the very least for the longest time, especially over like the last year or so, see Protoss players starting off the game with a probe going across the map right away, and the idea was to block a 16 supply hatchery on the low ground. These days, a lot of Zerg players are opting for a 15 supply hatchery, so an extractor trick into a hatch. I've been seeing 14 hatch. We've been seeing a variety of hatchery timings that Zerg players have been going for just to make sure that their natural expansion does not get blocked. And I really think this is just gonna turn into another mind game, because if Protoss players stop going for, well, the probe scout right at the very start of the game to block a 16 supply hatchery, and Zerg players no longer need to go for a 14 hatch or a 15 hatch with an extractor trick and all that, they will once again be opting to go for a 16 supply hatchery instead, and will probably, in the not too distant future, see Zerg players going for a 16 supply hatch every time. We'll see Protoss players going for a probe scout at the start of the game every time, and then Zergs will once again be forced to take their third first. Anyways, Stargate right here on the back of this for herO. Of course, this is his, well, his bread and butter. This is what he's been doing for a very long time. Generally speaking, what herO does right now is go 2 to 3 oracles and then straight into blink stalkers, usually with forge upgrades, sometimes with 2 forges, sometimes with 1, sometimes with many oracles, sometimes only with 2. Only time will tell exactly what ends up going down here, but everything is normal here for the time being. Alrighty, herO of course considered to be the best Protoss player from the Korean region, probably the world, although statistically speaking, Mr. MaxPax is still higher ranked than him as of me recording this video right now. But of course, MaxPax doesn't play in nearly as many tournaments as herO does, so it's actually kind of hard to say exactly where he is currently at. We've got a round of Zerglings coming up right now for RagnaroK. This is around the time that link speed finishes up. Usually with the first oracle popping out, Protoss will be using that. Ooh, Evo chamber block. I thought he was gonna make a spore crawler there, but not the case. Anyways, normally we'll see the third Nexus popping down here in just a moment. Okay, he does manage to get this out for now, but not very good there for the Protoss at all. Actually, losing that makes taking this third base very tricky. So the Oracle is across the map. No Spore Crawler over here. Hello? The Queen just wandered from the natural to the main base. RagnaroK here assuming that his opponent was going to be sending that. Oh my god, he goes straight into the base. I thought he was going to go for the Nexus for sure, but he decides to just rush this natural wall off. There's a large gap over here. I mean, he could definitely have put the Adept right over there. That should have never happened. Anyways, a couple of mistakes here. Honestly, on both sides, though. RagnaroK really shouldn't have lost any of his drones right there to that first Oracle showing up. Now the Oracle, though, is just about to run out of energy. Looks like they're reinforcing Adept eventually, and that Oracle as well will eventually push all of this back. I actually don't know if running into the natural was the best call. Because I'm fairly sure he would have probably not gotten those additional Adepts there, but I'm fairly sure he could have gotten a kill on the third Nexus. Although, it kind of depends on the timing of that Oracle coming back home, so maybe creating some chaos there, yeah, it's honestly hard to say. Anyways, in the end, game is pretty even. There's that Twilight Council I was expecting, as well as the Forge. Is this something that RagnaroK saw? Yeah, he did see the Twilight Council there in his opponent's main base, so that is always nice. Stalker over here to push away that Overlord and may very well end up killing it. Here come the Adepts though. We have a lot more Zerglings on the production tab right now. Oracles here as well to provide a little bit of detection, so you always love to see that. Getting rid of those creep tumors, very, very nice. Yeah, so in this particular instance, it's just gonna be... Actually, no, there is a third Oracle here. Where's the third Oracle at? Oh, it's just chilling over at the third Nexus. Okay. I was gonna say, this is just gonna be a double Oracle start, which I found kind of funny, considering the amount of pressure he was under, so making a third Oracle would have been a great idea. Turns out he had it. Fantastic. Okay, so shield battery coming up right now at the third Nexus as well, and there's the upgrades. This is what hero is very, very good at. Not just in this matchup, but also in Protoss vs. Terran, and honestly also in PvP. I don't really cast a whole lot of PvP, because I noticed that, well, whenever I do, nobody watches the video. Not a lot of people seem to be too keen on watching a Protoss vs. Protoss. Unless it's an absolute banger, of course. I do keep my eye out on the very best games that are being played, but... Standard Protoss vs. Protoss? Now, this is nice. Yeah, standard Protoss vs. Protoss. Not super exciting, but just take it from me that Mr. Hero is very good at, well, microing his stalkers in that matchup too. This is something that Protoss players have been refining over the years. Hero just now getting the cancel right there on his opponent's 4th base. Now, getting the cancel on the 4th is nice, but certainly not the end of the world. Honestly, worker damage here matters a whole lot more. So he's gonna try, yeah, Stasis Ward it seems. Okay, fair enough. Is the Queen gonna pop it? Well, it's gonna take a little while. Yeah, we are gonna... Okay. We are actually gonna walk into the Stasis here eventually, but... In the end, RagnaroK just playing as many Zerglings here as he can. Now, does he have enough to push this back? Relatively low eco here for him. Normally this would be the moment where you power out a round of drones for the 4th base, but since the 4th base got cancelled, he's instead gonna spend all of his money right here on just making more and more army. So he's going +1 melee, but this melee upgrade is kind of late compared to where we're normally at. I don't actually think I like this all too much right here for RagnaroK. Yes, he's gonna be able... Ooh, okay, hold up right now. He's gonna be able to push all of this back, I think. Well, I say that, he's been making non-stop army for ages. Nah, I think it should be okay, but normally you'd have +1 melee already done if that's an upgrade you're trying to prioritize in the earlier stages of this game. He's going into Roach Ravager Ling Bane, I would imagine, here eventually, but it's gonna take ages before he gets there. Now, I was making some noises here, let's just call it that, because of the fleet beacon here. Did RagnaroK see it? He did see 2 structures over there in the back. Question is, did he click on it? Stalkers now in the meantime blink down towards the 4th base, but... Okay, they snipe a Queen, and I think they're gonna have to get on out of here. Yeah, with +1 melee, this would have been very different. Now, I don't actually know if RagnaroK clicked on that, because he was under a lot of pressure here during this. I think if he would have clicked it, I don't think he would have been putting down the Baneling's Nest. I think a Spire would be a much better choice. +1 air weapons fires up here immediately for Hero. I like it a lot. So, this is... much quicker than a normal Skytoss transition. So he can only really afford, I think, up to two Stargates here, as he's rushing out carriers. Now this is, you know, a quote-unquote carrier rush. Maybe the amount of Zealots that are here, yeah, is already gonna give him enough information that something fishy is going on, because this is a lot of Zealots. Like, where would that gas be going? He must have seen the gases over at his opponent's 3rd base. If he's putting 1 and 1 together, he may figure it out, especially with those structures that he didn't click on in the back of the base. But Hero is putting on so much pressure that I wonder if those carriers are even really needed. He seems to be winning the fight over here at the 4th base. He seems to be winning the fight over here at the natural expansion as well. And this is before those carriers are out. Now at this point, the only anti-air available is, well, 3 Queens and I think 2 Spore Crawlers? No, 3 Spore Crawlers here. 8 drones have already fallen. This is a Hero game to a T, man. Maybe not exactly the start he was looking for, but his crisis management is excellent. As soon as those Zerglings ran into the base, I thought this was going to be a disaster, but it turns out, nah. All good. Now here's where things get real scary. Carriers are out, and there's no units that shoot up. Other than, well, you know, those Queens I was talking about. Remember that game I casted recently between Mixu and Euthermal, where Euthermal teleported the battlecruiser into the opponent's main base, and Mixu GG'd out right away? This may very well be one of those instances. Okay, the Roaches are thinking about going across the map, fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't see what you're gonna do against a 2-carrier timing attack. This is funny, we never see carrier timing attacks in this matchup. There is an awful lot of Roach Ravager available though. +1 melee at this point, I guess, is done. Hydra Den on the back it is, so that's a desperation Hydra Den if I've ever seen one. Looks like the Oracles and the Stalkers, though, are doing just fine. There's more carriers popping out of those Stargates. 4th hatchery is gone, and GG is cold. Hero obtains what seems to be a relatively easy game number 1. Gresven, game number 2. So hero just put down his first gateway over here, and he's still not probe scouting. That's kind of funny. Also a little bit greedy, because he's the one that really popularized that super early probe scouting. And he's the one who's been blocking hatcheries for days. Anyways, RagnaroK just opening up with a standard, I believe, 16 supply hatchery right over here on the low ground. I think that these additional ones over here... Yeah, okay, well, apparently we're going to pull one from the mineral line instead. But anyways, he starts up an extractor, and he'll be going for a spawning pool very soon as well. Probe, where are you going? Probius. Okay. So this is going to be a... Yeah, standard expansion here on the low ground. There's the cyber core. Normally 21-ish supplies when you power up that second pylon. Okay. Hero decides to proxy it on the other side of the map. Now, it's actually kind of difficult for Zerg players to figure this out. Obviously, there's no reason for Lynx not to run around the map when there's no adept, for example, right? So there should definitely be an opportunity for RagnaroK to scout this, but... It's difficult for Zerg to scout the main base. Normally that second pylon would be over here, maybe over there, maybe over here. Right, there's a couple locations, but they're not particularly easy for the Zerg player to spot here right at the very start. It's not like the second pylon is expected to be right over here. Alright, so it's a second gateway over here. That actually surprises me a bit. Especially when we're not going for the warp gate research. I guess it's 2 structures then? No. No, he starts up warp gates right now. I thought maybe he's also gonna proxy a Stargate, but maybe he still is. What is this cursed build order, hero? That Stargate is so late that, like, yeah, the Oracle's gonna show up kind of early on the opponent's side of the map. There's already a Zergling coming, by the way, because there wasn't anything... Okay, yeah, this is excellent right here from RagnaroK. He just sees this right away. The Oracle would be sort of early, but not, you know, to the benefit of a proxy pylon early, because you could have just made it in your main base and then rushed out the Stargate a little bit quicker, which probably would have justified this a whole lot better. Anyways, now hero's gonna have to hold on. He cannot really afford to lose all of this infrastructure at this point in the game and then not get any value out of it. So another adept is gonna pop. First adept coming across right now as well. That pylon is taking a lot of damage, but I do believe it's gonna stay alive. I think the Zerglings may have well committed there, but... Anyways, Oracle is indeed Chrono boosted out here. Link's thinking about going across the map, and I actually really do like that idea. Well, are they thinking about that? I think going across the map would not be a bad call. 2 adepts over here in the natural being annoying. Now, these can definitely start laying down the hurt. Yeah, 3 drones? Yeah, don't like the positioning there on those adept too much. Yeah, now he's gonna end up losing them with link speed done. No, not again! Hero, can we stop that, please? I swear that, like, 8 out of the 10 casts that I've done recently of Hero going up against the Zerg, he lets Lynx slip into the base in, like, what honestly is like a Gold League error, you know? Like, the unit is just not positioned properly, or it's not on hold position, or there's no unit at all because he's all army hotkeying. Anyways, in the meantime, we also had that pylon getting shut down on the left side of the map. Apparently an Oracle was produced, but that Oracle was forced to fly to the natural, which is the exact opposite of where it was. Oh my god, now it's gonna have to fly back home again? It was thinking about it either way. It's painful, man. I don't know why, right? Like, those are not mistakes that should be happening from the #1 Protoss, but... I have seen it so many times. And don't get me wrong, like in a previous game, Lynx came in, and at that point, Hero's like, oh, you were getting into my base. Let me show you how to micro this. And then he pulls out some amazing micro, and he doesn't really take any damage, which is great and all. But it would be even greater if he just didn't let the units in the first place. So now he decided to wall himself in fully, which makes this game also very awkward. Either you have to now kill that pylon, I guess, or you go for a prism to, like, ferry units to the other side. I don't know. Already not a fan of this situation right here. Excellent play, of course, for RagnaroK. RagnaroK is going to be able to power out a whole lot of units. I actually think what he's doing here is nice. 50 drones or so and then straight into mass unit production is going to be very difficult for the Protoss player to contest. Like, when you know Protoss is fully walled in like this, sure, they can expand behind it, but normal timing on the 3rd Nexus would be like 350. Maybe 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, but we're already past that point right now. So you're effectively forcing the Protoss player, and the Protoss player has effectively forced himself into a 2-base all-in. So all he really needs to do, yeah, he is gonna ferry a unit across, but his third is so late that Zerg has already had a very nice economy. All he really needs to do is just hold whatever attack the Protoss player has got in mind. Because I don't think that, well, maybe hero's gonna sit here and do nothing. Maybe, honestly, that's the best idea, but he's then relying on his opponent respecting him enough to actually make units. Because if he's gonna sit here and not go for a timing attack on 2 bases, technically speaking, RagnaroK could have droned straight up to like 80, and there would have been absolutely nothing that hero would have done about it. And then it would just get overwhelmed with the next follow-up. So maybe there's some mind games here at play that can help him out, but so far this has been a bit of a disaster right here for hero. Now, one saving grace right here, though, for hero, is that his opponent was assuming, okay, that there was going to be an attack. That's why he made so many units. On top of that, he also never really made the lair. There's a lot of roaches waiting at home, though, to push this army back. Third Nexus ends up dying over here. Maybe more Zerglings died there than they needed, but, I mean, transfusion? Okay, not gonna happen. Okay, well, hero, you're gonna have to pull a rabbit out of a hat now. Hero did make probes, by the way, for the third Nexus, so it's not like that one was ever supposed to be a fake. Robo Bay on the back it is too, okay. So we are going for the strangest 2 bays all in with maybe a third Nexus, but probably not. Okay. So I think my previous assessment here is still true. I think all that RagnaroK really needs to do is just hold whatever attack Protoss is gonna throw at him. Now, is he gonna go for any sort of tech? Is he gonna go for example, a Spire here? Is he aspiring to go for a Spire? Loki, you're so funny. I'm gonna hit the like button. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. No, but is he brave enough? No, okay. All he's really gonna do is make a second Evo chamber. Oh, he's gonna go Spire. Okay. Swear I haven't seen this game, but I think this is really clever. This is what I would have done. Not to pat myself on the back all too much, but I think that's an excellent idea. Since this is already such a delayed attack, there's definitely a chance Protoss is just gonna sit there and make an awful lot of units and you have nothing to really contest it with. Whereas with a Muta group, right? They say you get like 5 Mutas out, 6 Mutas, 7, 8 Mutas, right? You get a group of them out. You can kind of force the opponent to make an attack. Because as soon as like 6 or 7 Mutas hit the other side of the map, or 8 even, you know? Crazy idea, I know. But as long as like a group of Mutas gets across the map and you start sniping those probes, Protoss usually packs their bags and then they're like, okay, it's time for me to go for my all-in. Wasn't really intending on maybe attacking just yet, but I don't really have much of a choice anymore. Now he does see the Spire here. Blink starts up. Yeah, he's going into Disruptors here as well. Bailing Nest on the back it is too for RagnaroK, by the way. RagnaroK. Alright. Thank you for making me look smart. I appreciate that, RagnaroK. Protoss still has a third base done right now. But honestly, we're getting to the point where the main and the natural, yeah. These mineral fields are running low, so it was necessary. Still though, Disruptors here are real scary. And despite the Spire, I guess just having the Spire out may have just, since it was scouted, may have just forced Protoss to go for this push. Which is actually kind of cute. So, yeah. Despite the fact that RagnaroK didn't actually make any Mutas, he's still forcing his opponent into this position. Now, one thing to note here is that Zerg does not yet have the Roach speed upgrade. Which is very scary. Yeah, I don't think you really want to be wandering off creep. 2 Disruptors. 4th Nexus, by the way, starts off here for hero. God, hero must be one of the hardest players to go up against, man. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, he must be one of the absolute toughest opponents to face off against, because despite the disastrous start, he's playing this like everything is great. And this is still one bad Disruptor detonation, right, away from being a Protoss win. Despite the supply count, these roaches are gonna have a pretty hard time escaping. The Blink Stalkers. Okay, a couple of Zerglings coming in from the flank here. We did have one of the Disruptors getting popped, but I feel like this engagement has been much better here. Oh god. For our Zerg, or for our Protoss player than it really was ever meant to be. Stalkers are not winning that fight up north though, so they decide to group back together. Oh my god, hero. Hero is such a dangerous player, man. So, big picture right now, 4th Nexus restarts. We have a 5th hatchery here in the bottom left-hand corner too. Now we're going into mutas. +2 melee is finishing up, so having a lot of lings available would be amazing against these disruptors. So the first 5 minutes of this game did not go herO's way at all. Like that failed proxy of his, the Zerglings in his natural expansion. Honestly, if your first 5 minutes of a game of StarCraft 2 go poorly, usually that's a straight up loss. In this particular instance though, he's playing this like nothing really happened. Recall? We need a recall instantly. Okay, well he does get the prism. Okay, mutas are now gonna flap their little wings. Ooh, and we're going straight into mass muta. Interesting. Gravitic drive on the back of this too. That's the prism speed improvement right here for hero. And there's already a group of units here waiting up north. If they can kill the 4th Nexus, that would be amazing. Honestly, there's so many mutas available though, right with this very first group, that he can actually start contesting these stalkers relatively easily. Good defense here though, so far by hero. Now his 4th base is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Yeah. Only a handful of workers have fallen so far. These mutas, they need to get a lot more done. RagnaroK probably sweating at this point too, man. This is a bit of an interesting unit comp over here. Okay, we're just gonna jump the mutas itself. Okay, Zerglings coming around the side. These are +2 melee links, so they're actually very powerful. Quite a few mutas have gone down here, 5 of them in total, but how many stalkers are down? 18 already throughout the course of this game. I love the amount of static defense here in the main base, because that's once again gonna slow this down a lot, and it's at the very least, gonna allow Protoss to get their units into the main base. Okay, in the end, 12 probes end up dying in the main. Quite a few mutas also do find their grave. Roaches and Ravagers, or sorry, Roaches and Zerglings only. No Ravagers with this clump. Trying to get some work done over here. Baneling speed starts up, so we're going full Mutaling Bane right now. Oh, this is good though. Mutas jumping the Disruptors is massive. No Archon here with this army anymore. Well, now it shows up, but that's after most of them have already gone down. That is a disaster, because losing all of these Disruptors now means that Roaches are once again back on the menu for the Zerg. They're not even really fighting this right now, but so many probes are starting to drop here. And yeah, what started off as a terrible game for hero, then almost looked like a hero comeback, but now I am certainly favoring RagnaroK once again. Very good. Yeah, that got very fishy there for a moment. It's still not over yet, because here's that all-in I was talking about, right? I expected it about 4 minutes ago. Here comes hero. There is a prism available. If that one gets sniped, so it does have the speed upgrade, but if that one gets sniped, there's no more reinforcements for Protoss. Brenda gets the final hit and then dies in the process. If you can get that prism, that would be absolutely humongous. And even with the one Archon here in the mix, that one gets sniped right away. Prism goes down as well. Zerglings and mutas going up against just Stalkers. Maybe Stalkers alone are not terrible, but with these numbers, the Zerg will definitely win. Next up, our final game takes place on altitude. Now, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, this time around, hero does start off the game with a probe scout right at the very start. It's a cheeky little opener. Every single game so far, he's allowed his opponent to go for a standard hatchery on the low ground, and now in game 3, now finally the probe does show up, and well, Zerg is forced to take their 3rd base first. Honestly, not the end of the world though. This is something that Zerg players are very comfortable with. Altitude, I would imagine, is also RagnaroK's map pick, just because it's absolutely massive. It's not like Protoss players can very easily punish it. On smaller maps, sometimes a glaive to depth follow-up is very dangerous to deal with now, because if your 3rd base and your main base are so far split apart, it's difficult for them to be connected with creep, and it just gets very messy if you go up against a Protoss player that goes for like a very well and crisply executed, well, glaive to depth timing. It's certainly still an option right here for hero, but on a map this large, I would imagine it's a Stargate opener. 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna double tap my plus button until that cybernetic score is done. Because nothing's happening anyways. Alright. Nobody saw that. We just zoomed through about a minute or so of gameplay. Yeah, it's gonna be a Stargate right here. Okay. So this doesn't really surprise me very much. Like I said, the map is just massive. And since this is the GSL Code S and every single best-of-3 is absolutely critical, this is not just your regular run-of-the-mill, you know, small $100 online match or whatever. This is not, you know, a small tournament. It makes sense that hero is going to be taking his sweet time in a match like this, and he's not really going to take too many chances. Alrighty, so link speed here coming up. One thing we've been seeing quite a bit from Zerg players over the last few months is an evolution chamber at 3.5 minutes. So you start it up at about the 3.5 minute mark, and then you transition towards +1 melee. What's interesting in these games so far is that RagnaroK does seem to be fond of playing upgraded Zerglings, but he doesn't actually get his upgraded Zerglings going very early. Like his evolution chamber timing here, I think is about the 5 minute mark or so, maybe a little bit before that. And normally with that sort of timing, you'd be expecting, at the very least, I'd be expecting, maybe I'm entirely wrong here, but I'd be expecting a +1 missile. Very much so a stylistic choice, of course, but he could definitely be putting drones back in gas and then starting up a, yeah. I guess he doesn't really want to take the punishment in his early game eco if he decides to go for that. So I do believe he just had a glimpse right over here of that, that Oracle flying across, and there's 2 queens waiting. 1 creep tumor gets sniped, that's nice and all. 2, 3 drones. I think he should have settled for 2. Took a whole lot of base damage there. Second Oracle coming across right now as well. Probe does stay alive. And even though this is not the fastest possible third Nexus, it is a third Nexus that comes down at a reasonable time. I'm assuming we're going to see a Twilight Council and a Forge attached to this pylon over here up north. But not until this Overlord Scout is gone. Never mind, we're going to see it before that, but the Overlord won't. I think this pylon was the original locator, but... or location, rather. But anyways, Twilight Council together with the Forge. We've got ourselves an Evo Chamber right now coming up at the back of the third base of the Zerg. And the boys are back in the Zerg town right over here. Triple Queen is going to be a necessity. 1 Oracle certainly goes down. 1 Queen has already fallen too. I think an Oracle for a Queen is in favor of the Zerg. But I guess it was the low HP Oracle, so maybe hero agreed earlier that he should have actually gone for the double drone kill there, so he's kind of just letting it slide here. Anyways, 7 drones in total is definitely not bad. Here's once again a +1 melee. Yeah, so it starts up at about the 5 minute mark, 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Interesting timing. He's also quite late on the lair. So in all the games so far, he's not really too fond of going for a lair any earlier than like 5.5 minutes, I think. There's the Baling Nest coming up as well. So all of those things are differently timed than what we would normally see in a Protoss versus Zerg. Which is very interesting to me. It mostly means that he will not have, I don't know, roach speed. He will not really have that much. So technically speaking, right, since he's cutting so many corners with the lair timing, the Evo Chamber timing, the tech route, whatever he chooses, his economy should be much bigger than it actually is. Like the fact that he lost 10 drones, despite the fact that he's been making so many queens and he's had access to a lot more minerals, and right now he's actually behind when it comes to the worker count, I'm inclined to believe that this is either just not a game where RagnaroK is feeling all too good about it, or the build is just not ideal. I mean, he's lost too many drones. Yeah, now we have a new third Oracle. Finishes off the larva over there too. 12 worker kills at this point in the game. With Zerg cutting this many corners is just amazingly good right here for hero. Alright, now +1 melee is not done yet. Same can be said though for our Protoss player. He's finishing up these upgrades right now. There's another Oracle coming up. So he did lose his third Oracle, his second third Oracle again. So he's gonna add on a new one. I actually really don't mind it. So this does mean that hero is likely gonna stick around on a mid-game army for quite a while. I don't think we're gonna be seeing a carrier rush this time around, but I wouldn't mind seeing him go for some aggression right about right now then. Yeah, no 4th Nexus or anything like that. We've got 6, 7 gateways here. 8 gateways actually in total. This is definitely a Protoss who is ready for aggression. Look at this, 7 minutes is when the Roach speed upgrade starts up. We have 11 Banelings coming. He's thinking about going for a bust right over here on the left, it looks like, but hero's gonna see this! Oh no. This is going from bad to worse right now for RagnaroK, who's canceling all of those Banes, but he does lose quite a few resources in the process. herO's gonna go for a second pylon over here, this time around at the Watchtower. Gateway is gonna be attached as well. That's gateway number 9, and this is meant to start laying down the law. Zerglings coming in from the back, though. Nice triggering right there of the stasis ward. Zerglings are gonna be able to get the wraparound, looks like, although reinforcing stalkers do show up. Yeah, +1 melee is nice, but these are also +1 ground weapon stalkers, and they're pretty powerful. That adept somehow lives with 2 HP, but not for much longer. Low HP stalkers get blinked towards the back. Oracle still up in the air. Imagine if we had like 5 oracles here, though, because he made so many oracles this game, and he lost quite a few of them. Anyways, I think Zerg just doesn't have enough here. Maybe? He's got 11 roaches popping. Glio is gonna finish up here eventually. herO's got a lot of money in the bank, though. Taking a page out of Zest's book. Can we, do we have blink? Sorry, do we have charge? We do not have charge. We most definitely do have blink. It's a little bit surprising. herO never took the gas at the 3rd Nexus. Yeah, I was looking at that earlier. I was wondering if that was intentional, because he never got charge. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was actually a little mistake here. He could definitely warp in an additional round of Zealots if that was the case. But anyways, he's just ready to start laying down the law here on this base. So this hatchery is actually in a world of trouble right now. With Zealots that could actually charge, this would be even better. I think one of the stalkers just got targeted there. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Anyways, we're gonna blink forward. And this is a textbook Protoss game. Really nothing crazy went down right here on altitude. But he's just been in control the entire time, right? So maybe this is not gonna be a game-winning move, but you can really tell here that Zerg is starting to bleed out. There's not really a moment, I don't think, where Zerg is gonna have such a large influx of units that he can just go and win. GG is simply cold. Okay. Beautiful game right there from herO. Imagine if those additional oracles, though, were just barely alive and he maybe would have gotten like 2 less worker kills. I think he would have absolutely shredded that very first Zerglings around on his stalkers. Either way, it is herO who ends up winning this match 2-1 over RagnaroK.